Go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Cricket Exchange. Don't be misled by our smiley faces. There's lots of anger hidden. As we all know, we finished the Headingley test. We consciously allowed some time between the end of the test and the start of our shoot, just to let some emotions go away. But despite that, there are a lot of emotions. So I want to jump straight into it and ask Abhishek, dude, is this an aberration? Like they keep saying, oh, 36 not out was an aberration, 78 not out was an aberration, or is this becoming more of a pattern?
I think if Virat says that it's an aberration, I think he's living in a fool's paradise. I don't know what does he mean by that. Because how many aberrations are we going to have? First day 76 all out, 78 all out, and then fourth day, the second innings 63 for 8. How do you call this? If you call this an aberration, you'll be fooling yourself. You'll be in denial. And if you see the pattern, I mean, I've been telling even after the Lord's win, if you remember in the last show, we had harped on this middle order failures. Okay, so every time it's your lower order or the openers or some unlikely hero somewhere who's bailing you out, and you're thriving on a great bowling attack and some great team spirit. That's only the two things which is making us win. The middle order has been in shambles. Let's be very, very plain about it. And it's becoming an embarrassment, I would say. Due respect to everyone, they've had great careers, but I mean, things are simply not working out. If you see, and this is not only in Sena countries, even in the home series against England, the entire middle order collapsed. It was only Rohit Sharma's first innings 100 in Chennai and Rishabh Pant and Washington Sundar's batting, which enabled us to win from a batting point of view, that is. So our middle order has been in shambles right from God knows when. The last time we scored 400 was in a test against Bangladesh way back in 2019. Okay, so that's how bad it is. And even in Lords, if you see, we scored 365 in the first innings. That was when the openers scored 200 plus. So the remaining batsmen, they all got 165 runs. Okay, all they got was 165. So that's not an aberration. It's a problem which is being there with us for a long time, and we just simply seems to have lost it. The only time middle order batsman got 100 was Ajinkya in Melbourne. Other than that, I don't see any contributions at all.
So Madhu, your take. I want to further build on that point. There's a lot of debate about Pujara or Rahane. I have noticed that Rahane has this uncanny knack of scoring this one very good century or a good score every 8 or 10 matches. And the other matches, he's absolutely thanda, right? And I don't think it's ever happened that number 3, 4, and 5 have had such a long streak of failures back to back. In my recent memory, at least I don't remember seeing it. So, Madhu, on Pujara, what's your take?
So I thought he tried to save himself with a 90 plus knock, but obviously, I mean, he's really not fitting the bill. And as you rightly said, the 3, 4, and 5 look all the more glaringly, weak because Kohli is also not performing. So the 3, 4, 5, we've spoken about it so much now. Of course, as you rightly said, it's good that we're doing the call now a few days later because we're able to analyze it more logically. Otherwise, we were all furious with the way we are batting. I mean, all the so-called conditioning, the high from the previous Lord's victory, and now to suddenly come like having just landed on the pitch from India and looking so clueless. I mean, this was a shocking victory. I mean, shocking loss for us, and of course, a fantastic victory for England. But the solace is, Abhishek drew parallels to the India series of England, where we lost the first test badly, and we bounced back. So it's like a tit for tat that England has done for the Indian team now in England. So hopefully, the next test will really be doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. I mean, if we really don't bounce back, it's a bad sign for Indian cricket. More so the batting, which is not just holding up anywhere, other than any free killing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to draw on another very killing statistic that I noticed on Twitter about false shot percentages, right? I don't think, somebody world class players like a Kohli or a Pujara or even a Rahane, they all have false shot percentage north of 50. Kohli, in fact, has 72% false shot percentages, right? So I'm just beginning to wonder, is it just our technical failure, or is it also a time for us to doff our hat to the English batsmen? They're like relentless bowling machines. I watched some of the coverage live, and for the life of it, you cannot see even a single loose ball, except that day 3 when Pujara walked in and they gave him a lot of balls on the leg side. Other than that one passage of play, which he seems to have milked, everywhere else they seem to be spot on. So Abhishek, what do you feel about this false shot percentages?
Uh, Regarding the English bowlers, see, this is test match cricket. Okay. So the bowlers are going to be good. Okay. You're facing England. Okay. You're facing a big 3 team, England, Australia, and India. All these 3 teams have got world-class, absolutely fantastic bowling attacks. Okay. You see that we said the same about Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, and Lyon. Okay. There was hardly any loose ball in Australia as well. Okay. But that's expected to happen. You're playing test cricket. There are no easy runs out there. That's something that's why we need Virat Kohli there. That's why you have Pujara, you've got a Rahane, you've got a Kohli. That's why you need these sort of people there who played close to 100 test matches, 70, 80 test matches. That is why they are there. Okay, so you cannot really say that, okay, the English bowlers were relentless. Yes, they are expected to be relentless. They are playing in their home ground, with their own conditions, with the Duke ball in hand, expected to be like that. Even our Indian bowlers, they are also relentless. They did well. Okay, you can't blame them, because if you get bowled out for 78, you don't have any runs on the board. That is why they lost the edge there. But otherwise, you give them 300 runs on the board, even the Indian bowlers don't give an inch. Stark, Hazelwood, and Cummins, they don't give an inch. Okay, that's with all good teams, that is going to be the case. And with regards to false shots, yes, it's a very, very it's a very disturbing statistic, 72% false shots. But if you counter those false shots and then play ugly, miss a lot of deliveries, play ugly, somehow survive that period and then go on to score 100, that's what test cricket is all about. So false shot percentage, let it be there, but capitalize on whatever's what Pujara did on the 4th day, where you were 215 for 2. I think we played very well on that particular day. But when the second new ball came in the next morning, we completely lost the plot.
So tell me one thing. I also want to analyze it from a different perspective, from a big match temperament perspective. At least in the last 3 years, what I've noticed is that if you compare a Kane Williamson, a Steven Smith, even as recently as a Babar Azam, somehow they seem to step up when the team needs them the most. But Virat Kohli, right, I have seen, I mean, of course, in white ball cricket, he's done a lot of amazing things. But if you really, sift through the statistics, World Cup 2015 against Mitch Johnson, that semi-finals. Then 2017 Champions Trophy finals against Pakistan. 2019, the New Zealand semi-finals, which we lost. 2021, the World Test Championship against New Zealand. Kale Jamieson was his, he made Virat his bunny. And then now, the test where we got out for 36 not out. Even this whole series, I just don't get a sense that if there's a session and you need Virat to stand up, I mean, we're not asking him to score all the time. That's not possible. But even those specific sessions and days then when he needs to bat, he just doesn't seem to bat. Is there a problem? I mean, is it like too much of exhaustion? Or is he like losing out all his energy and all his fist pumping and his celebrations and all that? What's your take?
No, it's baffling. Just look at Joe Root. I mean, Kohli, the legend, so-called legendary batsman, pales in comparison to the kind of form that Root has been through the series. He's been slapping the Indian bowlers and the team left, right, and center, and leading from the front. So, I mean, Kohli's form and maybe his temperament and technique all put together, it's really worrisome. I don't know where we're going from here.
No, I don't know if it's I don't know, lighter note, I keep saying, contact lens, #contact lens. So this is something that I have picked up that, his earlier years, you would hardly see him wearing spectacles in press conferences and, post-game situations. But now you see that increasingly, it's almost a default. So I don't know if he's still young, he's not like 35 plus or whatever. But I get a sense that maybe his hand-eye coordination is just giving away. I hope it's not the case, and it's more a case of, as Abhishek says, it's a case of mental exhaustion. But fingers crossed. Let's hope he proves us wrong. Now let's moving on to Abhishek back again. What about Rahane, Abhishek? What do you have to say about him? He's. I mean, it's not like he's been playing stellar knocks either, right? After that MCG thing and a 60 or something in Lords, I haven't seen him really do well.
Rahane has to go. I mean, that's. I mean, I would have if I would have. Ideally, both Pujara and Rahane should have been replaced. Okay, but of course now with Pujara getting that 91, you have to persist with him. So I don't know whether that's good for the team or bad for the team. I hope it's good because it will give him some confidence to play his shots. So he might turn over a new leaf and get some runs for us. But Rahane, I'm sorry, he's just not working out. I mean, this has been continuing from 2018. If you remember, I think his career, I mean, somehow his confidence got destroyed from the day when, remember in South Africa, Virat had, the team had dropped him for Rohit Sharma. That was a mistake at that time, I would say. If you remember, we had discussed that many times before in 2018, right there. So I think he was not the same after that. Okay, people might point out statistics that he's been the highest run scorer in the Test Championship, but all those runs have come in comfort zones.
What's it leading to? Absolutely correct.
Okay, he was a complete failure in the England tour last time. I don't think he got any 100 in the 2018-19 Australia series. So you judge people by hundreds, okay? Hundreds or 50s in very crunch situations. I can't recall of anything in the 2018 series except that 81 at Trent Bridge, and we won that test match. Other than that, there was no valuable innings. In Australia, he was absolutely non-existent in 2018-19. New Zealand, everybody flopped. And again, in this Australia tour, in the current Australia tour, where he became the hero as a captain, other than that Melbourne innings, there was absolutely nothing to write about. Okay.
Even that Melbourne innings, if you remember, you watch the highlights, a lot of catches were dropped. I think they got lucky that way. But anyway, everybody needs that slice of luck. But that said,
he was a disaster in the home series against England also. So how do you justify his inclusion, especially when the entire middle order is playing badly? Earlier, what used to happen was Virat or Pujara or Pant used to bail us out. India used to win, and people used to forget the failures of Pujara and Rahane or anyone. But now there's nowhere to hide. Absolutely, there's nowhere to hide. I mean, what can you do about it? I mean, I think every great cricketer comes to this part of this stage of his career. But there's absolutely nowhere to hide now. There is no one to bail him out, rather. So I think, especially with Mayank, Vihari and Sky, three players waiting in the wings, I think we have to try out one of these people in place of Rahane.
So that brings me to the next topic. Madhu, you're the most radical, angry man in the group. What are the changes that you see for the 11? Go for it.
So, from our conversation just now, I think Pujara and Rahane both should go. Like I mentioned, I'm stressing on it again. 3, 4, 5, all of them look weak. In fact, the entire team collapses. Among the 3, 4, 5, if one of them is off form and the other two are able to pull the team along, it's still fine. Now 3, 4, 5, all the three consistently not performing is a real cause of concern. Of course, you can't drop Kohli at this point. I wouldn't look at that. So that's really radical. But I'll certainly look at Pujara being replaced by Mayank and Rahane being replaced by Suryakumar Yadav. Certainly, I mean we should take the chance. And these guys are also running out of time. So it's high time that we took some tough calls.
And what about the bowling combination? I'm sure Ishant.
Yeah, so in our previous discussion, we spoke about Jadeja, the batsman. Of course, he's not come great, and his bowling has been so. It's high time, our world-beating bowler Ashwin, is made to come back into the team. So Ashwin for Jadeja and Ishant. I'm not sure. Of course, I'm keen to get Shardul in place of Ishant, but I don't know if such too many changes will kind of upset the whole momentum of the team. When I say momentum, uh, it's about the match temperament. So therefore, batting 2 changes and bowling minimum 1 change, and at best maybe 2 changes for
Abhishek, what about you?
I
yeah.
agree with that. I would just differ with Madhu in one point. I think Vihari should be given a chance. Okay, because
Okay.
I think he's been around, and if we I don't think they're going to drop Chet Pujara because of the 95, 91 that he scored. But I agree with Madhu. It's going to be difficult to drop, but in the long run, we have to think of the next in line. So if in either Oval or at Old Trafford or whenever Pujara is dropped, I would like Vihari to take that place. And in place of Rahane, I would take Mayank and hold on to Sky for a bit. Okay, to see, give Mayank one chance, and if Mayank doesn't do well, then maybe go for Sky. But very much Sky should be in the scheme of things. And as far as bowling is concerned, as far as bowling is concerned, that's a more tricky thing, and we have to get the combination right. I think Ishant has to go because I think Ishant wasn't fully fit in the previous Test match, and I think two back-to-back Test matches or 2 Test matches has taken its toll. So he's most likely going to sit out, and so that leaves us with the choice of Umesh and Shardul. So if we get Ashwin back, then I guess Shardul has to play, because otherwise the last thing we want is another. Uh, we can't trust our top sincer. We can't trust our top order, so we probably need some batting cushion. Uh, Otherwise, if you want to just go all out, then take Umesh and Ashwin both. Take your five bowlers. At least do well in the department. Do fully well in the department which you are doing well, and just pray for that somebody uh, by fluke or something gets some runs, and
So
be at
my
all-out attack on the bowling front. But yes, I think both the options are available. But Ashwin has to come back. I'm expecting Ashwin to come back in this particular Test match.
I think they might just play it safe, and they will continue with Pujara because after 91, I don't think they should.
Yeah,
They will drop him. But I personally think they must drop him because as a number 3, his technique is just not right for this fourth, fifth stump line that England is bowling. They're very relentless. If you notice on day 4, when the ball was new, he just got out, like how he has always been getting out all through the tour, right? So, and I don't see any of that changing in the 4th and 5th test. But then again, they'll go with him. Rahane, I would drop straight away because, like Madhu rightly said, you can't have all 3 playing. You can't drop Kohli, obviously. And Chetak Pujara has got a 91, so I guess Rahane is got to go. On the bowling side, I think I would want to drop Jadeja and get in Ashwin. And I would drop Ishant and get in Shardul, not Umesh. Those would be my changes. Now, in terms of predictions, as a final point on this test, what do you think will happen, Abhishek?
I think this is the toughest test to predict, because it all depends on, because our batsmen our batting, the batting department is totally in God's hands. Okay,
If you win the toss, what do we do? Do we
win the toss,
bat first? Or
the toss bat.
Oh no,
I think so.
we want to do that because I'm just thinking again it'll be like revisiting the same situation. New ball, English conditions.
Right. Yeah, you might be right. Just don't trust the batting at all and hope that the bowlers do some miracle. Okay, go with that aggression and start doing and all those things, and hope for something to work out. But yes, I think that should
because
be.
they got that 78 out, right? Batting first, and then the last innings, the last day was around shambles. I just think if they bat again, but knowing Virat, 100% he'll win the toss and he'll bat because he wants to show intent and all that.
This means basically, if today in a test match you win the toss and you are scared to bat first, as fans we are scared to bat first in perfect conditions, that means something there's seriously wrong with the team. Okay, so we have dug ourselves into such a big hole, our top order and the entire top 5. Okay, with the and most disappointing thing of this whole thing is that earlier there was always a complaint that since we don't have good openers, always the number 3, 4, 5 are exposed to the new ball. When we
Yeah.
people who have watched cricket in the 90s, those frustrating 90s and 2000s, our openers used to be just sitting ducks in front of McGrath and Donald and company. So our middle order used to be exposed, and there was a lot of complaints कि यार Dravid को पहले जाना पड़ रहा है, इसीलिए he has to face the moving ball. Here there are so many times Rohit Sharma and Rahul or Gill, they've got their 20s and 30s at least. Okay, they haven't got big scores very often, but they've got good starts, 50-60 for no loss, and yet our middle order has flopped. Even though the ball was not new, the bowlers were somewhat tired. In the World Test Championship final, we were 62 for no loss, I think, if I remember right, Gill and Rohit batting.
That's right.
That the middle order collapsed. So we've got a big problem if we are hesitant to bat first in a Test match. So I'll leave it.
So that's the. Let's see how that goes. I personally think it's got to be all downhill from here. I'm happy to be proven wrong, simply by the fact for two simple reasons. The English bowlers have got a fixed template. They know they have to bowl on the third, fourth, fifth stump, that line, and they know exactly where to pitch and make the ball move away and get in. And all our batsmen seem to have fallen into that trap, right? So I don't see how that's drastically going to change, unless what happened on day 3 with Pujara when he got that 90, right? English bowlers overdo things, spray it a little bit all over. Unless the bowlers slip up, English bowlers, I don't see how we'll ever make a comeback. Now, I want to move away from this topic before we wrap up. 2 other topics before we close for the day. Our own Mysore Express, it's his 62nd birthday, Madhu. Javagal Srinath, any fond memories you want to share?
52nd.
Oh, 52nd. No, he's an absolute Mysore Express, as he's fondly known, locally, and he's a fantastic Kannadiga boy, and I would say, he had a lot of docile aggression. Being a vegetarian, his aggression was always meek, but he still delivered. And I think I have really fond memories of having personally met him in Mysore 2-3 years back. He's a very sweet and gem of a guy, and a gentleman, of course.
And your bride on his BMW, right?
Yeah. He did take me around Mysore in his BMW.
Sunny, one time, there was a time when the Mysore, Infosys Mysore ground, there's a cricket ground in Infosys Mysore. So even hosted a Ranji match there. I think Srinath was maintaining that ground. He was in charge of the ground. He was in charge to maintain that ground and the pitch, if I remember right. Okay, that's how they got him involved to maintain that. And I think BCCI has also had bowlers camps over there in the past.
Look, my favorite memory of Srinath is not something that most people remember, okay? And it's not something that resulted in an India win. I think this was the Benson and Hedges series, 92 in Australia. I think it was India, West Indies in Australia.
Keith Atherton delivery, right?
No, not the Keith Atherton. Maybe it was the World Cup. The league match against Australia. We collapsed, and somehow he managed to get us to a sort of winning situation. The last ball, he hits a shot. Steve Waugh drops it. And then Steve Waugh picks it up despite he had the presence of mind not to lose his cool, throws it, and Venkatapati Raju gets run out.
That was the heartbreaking loss.
For me, that's a telling memory of Srinath. Okay, the last one about another living legend and one of my all-time favorites, Dale Steyn. I just tweeted that, for somebody, the combination of someone sprinting in so smoothly, getting into the delivery stride, landing, and then, his vein-popping celebration, right? I mean, it's just incredible. And if you follow him on Twitter, you'll see that he's actually quite a sweet, lovable, likable guy. So very rare combination, and seems to be a great mentor as well. So great day for him to see off 699 international wickets. Madhu, any memories?
Fun-loving guy. And I really see him as the Muhammad Ali of pace bowling. Like you mentioned, the way he runs in and just simply floats and zoop goes the ball, and most of the time he's so pacey. I mean, he has always been a joy to watch. I'm going to miss his test cricket more, but the most vivid memory I have of him is unfortunately AB belting him all over in for me, which you and I personally, watched it live.
I've seen it twice, and I watched the highlights so often that in my mind, that seems to be the latest memory I have. Right, AB doing that whole
So unbelievable. But he's like you rightly said. I think he's a really chilled out guy. A cool sense of humor, and good to have. But of course, today South African cricket, because of all the SJN, discussions and testimonies happening, and the whole racial stress that is there in South Africa is a tough thing. But he's a true sporting hero for sure. Sting.
Absolute,
Fantastic.
absolute legend. I mean, he's probably the greatest fast bowler, I would say, of all time. Because the thing is that earlier, if you see the batsman didn't have
Jimmy. What about Jimmy?
Yes, Jimmy is there right up there. But Jimmy tweeted for Anderson. Jimmy today tweeted for Dale Steyn, the best. Okay, that sums it up. Okay, Okay, and the difference. So there's a difference. I would keep Dale at a higher level, because the era that he bowled at, the batsmen were going just great guns and all that. Okay, so I think that was an era of batsmanship, 2005 to 2015. There was an era when the batsmen, they looked never like getting out. Okay, you had scores of 600, 500 regularly, and in play in that era and get so many wickets at such a strike rate, and be a part of an unbelievable South African team that never.
They rose to the top. Yeah,
they were an amazing test team. Okay, because of their white ball chokes, people generally don't associate South Africa with a champion team. But make no mistake, in red ball cricket, during that phase from 2007 to 13, they were absolute champions, right up there with Australia and the West Indies. Okay, so that's about Dale Steyn. So go well. I hope
good stuff, guys.
Second inning.
No, excellent, excited, and quite a legend. So thanks everybody for logging in. We'll keep bringing these shows, so continue subscribing to us and keep liking and sharing stuff. We will be back again. Hopefully, Kohli, Pujara, and Rahane are there to disprove us, and hopefully we meet again when the scoreline is 2-1 in favor of India. Over now, then take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, just one thing before we are saying goodbye, please. A quick personal update. Our buddy Abhishek here has just launched his, work of passion. His book he's just authored, The Heart Travels. Unfortunately, I mean, we've all got our copies, but we don't have it physically with us because, I mean, lockdown and pandemic, and they've all been couriered to all different places. So hopefully we'll have one session just to review the fun book with so much of fondness.
Test, once we are
So maybe along next test, analysis, we'll have a quick 5-10 minute discussion about Abhishek's, work.
Make sure to read a few chapters and come.
Absolutely.
We can discuss the in details.
Great. So much fun. Thanks all of you. Bye.
Thanks. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.